In this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate geometry both for point shapefiles and for polygon shapefiles. Linear shapefiles are very similar as well. So to start off, let's look at our map here. We have some points here that I created that are on landings, so logging landings. If we zoom in here and we turn off the clear cuts, you can see that there's a landing here where they would have done long line logging. And I've done that for each one of these landings here. So I created those points just looking at the map. And so therefore they don't have an XY coordinate system in the attributes table if we open up the attributes table. And you can see here all we have is their ID numbers and their FID numbers. So we don't see any landing number there. So what we can do here is we want to give them an XY value. So we're going to add two fields. So by clicking the add field button there, you can see that now we have this tab that opens. That's our field editing tab. So this first field, we're going to call it UTM East. And we're just going to leave it as a data type long integer, and it's fine. Then we're going to click here. And we can go over and say numeric if we want to. It's going to default to that. But we can just say OK here. And this is a place where we can adjust how many decimal points we want. So we'll just leave it at 6. That's fine. And then we're going to click here and we're going to add another one. We're going to call this UTM North. Same thing. Let's make it numeric. And we'll leave all of this alone. Now we want to go and we can either click save up here or we can right click over here and say save. Either way works. You see that applied our changes. So now we can close this field editing tab. And you see now in our regular attributes table we now have a UTM East and a UTM North. Now if you right click up at the top of UTM East, you can go to calculate geometry, and this will open up the calculate geometry table here. And so we're going to do UTM East. This is for the landings, and we're going to say our X coordinates. So East is X, along your X axis. And then the other nice thing that's really cool here is that this allows us to do both UTM East and UTM North at the same time. So we can say UTM North here, and we want to make that our Y coordinate. So now let's go over here and we can select our coordinate system. And so we're going to do this as a UTM coordinate, obviously. We'll choose NAT 83 and we'll do 10 north for our point. We say OK. Now when we go down here and we click OK, it will calculate, and there you go. Now you have your UTM East and your UTM North coordinate systems for those points. Next, we want to go in and we want to do some calculations for our clear cuts here. So these are polygons. So we can close this landings attributes table. I'm going to go over here and right click and we'll pick our attributes tables for our landing. Once again, you can see here that we have some habitat type stuff that came in, but we don't have any information that's really about the landings. We zoom out, we see that we have quite a few landings here. So we're going to calculate our area and our perimeter. And this would have been really challenging to do by hand. But given the capabilities of Arc, it becomes quite easy now. We'll do the same steps here. We're going to add fields. And we're going to call this first field acres. And we're going to click and add another field. We'll make this numeric. And I really don't think we need that many decimal places. We'll go to 2. And then we'll click and add another field, and we'll make this perimeter. Okay. And we'll make this numeric as well. And make that 2 decimal places as well. All right, now we can go up here and click save. That saves our edits. we can close this field editing tool. And now you can see we have acres and perimeters as part of our attributes table for that shapefile. Same thing that we did before. We can right click up here and we can say calculate geometry. And now you can see that we have these two, that we have this same table that opened up. And so for our acres, we want to calculate that as area. So we'll say area. And then down here, it's going to say what units do you want to have. And so we already said we're going to do it as acres. So let's go in here and we'll go to US survey acres. And then our coordinate system, let's make it UTMs again. And just say OK. And then, just like before, where we could calculate our UTM East and our UTM North out of the same calculate geometry field, we can do the same thing here. So we're doing our acres there as area. We can go here and we can say perimeter, and we can go and we can say that we want it to be our perimeter in length. And then once again, we have an option for picking our units. So let's do US survey yards. So there we go. We've got yards, we've got acres, and we're calculating our area and our perimeter. We can say OK. This will now calculate. And there you go. You have your area in acres and your perimeter. So that's all I've got for this. It's pretty simple. Pretty straightforward, and actually quite a bit easier than it used to be.